What are your worst roommate experiences? This is my favorite of their crimes. So past roommate left opened pasta sauce in the cupboard. Didn't realize it should be refrigerated. I noticed when I went, ooh, pasta sauce, and discovered the inch of mold over it. Rough mouthfeel. So since they'd done other terrible things, I decided they needed a first-hand lesson on how to live life. So I left the moldy pasta sauce, where I'd found it. I know, you expected something atrocious from me there. I just wanted them to understand what needs to be refrigerated, so I only washed my hands of the moldy sauce. 2 months later, I noticed the pasta sauce was still there. But, they just scraped the mold out and used it anyway. Also, this roommate was always sick. I have several stories about one roommate. For the purposes of anonymity, I'll call him Ben. Ben was creepy as hell. Whenever I entered the room, he would always say my name with an extremely weird inflection and then giggle. As soon as Ben moved in with me and my other roommate, I'll call him Johnny. Johnny and I started getting mysterious text messages from anonymous numbers, usually posing as a woman propositioning us for sex. He would also do crank calls with a soundboard, same thing, asking us for sex. Ben often stole food from me. I eventually caught him after I bought some cookies and found a stack of them missing, even though I hadn't yet opened the package. Ben at one point got sick and puked in the kitchen sink. He then called me asking what to do. I'll clean it up. Like, WTF dude. Then I got home and found out he vomited in the sink again. How does someone do this twice? Hang out near the toilet when you're sick. FFS. Then I had to nag him to clean the sink after he was feeling better, and he did a half-ass job, and I had to clean chunks out myself. Ben and I shared a bathroom and Johnny got the other bathroom to himself. I decided to leave for the weekend and visit my parents. I saw the toilet paper was low, but I had already bought TP several times and decided Ben can handle it himself. I get back after the weekend, and at about 4 in the morning I get up to piss. I notice my bath towel now has brown streaks on it. I find him in the kitchen up at 4 AM and I confront him about it. He plays dumb and says he has no idea. I got home one day and found the words fat ass carved into the door of Johnny's truck with a key. This culminated in me and Johnny in Ben's room confronting him. I tried to be diplomatic, but Johnny was yelling and about to beat the crap out of him. Maybe I should have let him. On move out day, Ben decided to dump his trash into the back of Johnny's truck. We know it was him, since the trash had a bunch of papers and stuff with Ben's name on it. His parents arrived. We had decided to split the cleaning labor and assign Ben some work. Ben's mom ended up doing it for him. Hope you enjoyed the recounting of my adventures of living with Ben. It was a trip, I'll say that much. Not my story, but my current roommate / landlord rented out a room to this girl with a pet ferret. A bit of info, my roommate / landlord didn't put her on a lease or contract, which was her mistake. This girl never cleaned the ferret's cage or her room or her sheets. And within 1 to 2 months her room's floor was caked with ferret poo and reeked. The girl had a boyfriend who would come by sometimes to clean up for her, but would spend the night vomiting in the bathroom because of how badly the room smelled. A bit of backstory on this girl: she grew up pampered by her mom, who did everything for her. This girl never had to clean a day in her life. She didn't even know how to use a can opener or boil an egg. My roommate / landlord had to hire a cleaner to bleach the whole room and scrub the whole thing on their hands and knees because the ferret poo was caked in all the floor's cracks. Would turn the Wi-Fi off every night at 9 despite me also paying for it. Would rat me out to the landlord if I had my girlfriend over for the night, but she would have her boyfriend over. And finally she would scold me for using her TV that was in the common living room space. 3 of us lived in a house, all men in our early 20s. My friend's girlfriend moved in and didn't pay rent because she said she was too broke. Then after a couple of weeks I find out she's selling hash out of our house. They were shocked when I told them that she had to go. My other roommate moves out to live with his girlfriend. After about a year he cheats on her and they break up. I come home to him building a makeshift room in our basement. He told me the other guys all agreed. They didn't. Then he finds a dog in the neighborhood and keeps it, also without asking despite our landlord not allowing it. Then his girlfriend discreetly moves in. Shortly after, the other roommate's girlfriend moved in. Now I'm absolutely livid, so here's my reaction. A friend of ours is in need of a place for her and her 3 cats to live, so I tell her she can move in. I help move her in, and on one quiet Sunday I move all of my stuff out and go live with my mom, leaving my 3 roomies, 2 girlfriends, a dog, and my friend with her 3 cats. Lesson learned: don't make friends with hippies. My wife's former roommate left some stuff, including a can of dog food. A large can of dog food. It was hidden in the back of the food pantry. The thing is, nobody had a dog there, ever. So who knows how long it had been there. Well, they discovered it after finding small mealworms in the flour after they made crepes. Turns out they had infested the dog food and then subsequently everything else in the pantry. I'm talking webs and silk strands everywhere. It was a horror nest. In 2001 I was living in a short-term apartment with 2 random dudes while I was in Toronto for a UNIVCOOP job. I came home to my apartment with my girlfriend around 11 PM and opened my bedroom door. Naked roommate sitting in my leather office chair cruising porn. He was like, "What? You're the only one with an internet connection?" Okay. My freshman year of college I had a suite which shared a bathroom with 2 other rooms. There was one girl who multiple times left entire poops in the one toilet and would also leave her bloody pad stuck to the wall. Twice I had to go into her room and casually tell her she left her pad behind. Bathroom has a stall encasing the toilet, so multiple people could go in at once. That's how I knew it was her. She also called the police on my room once for playing music at 9 PM on a Saturday. I moved into a bachelor apartment with a girl that just turned 18. I was 23. I didn't know her well, but she seemed nice, and I felt bad for her because she didn't have a place to stay and was sleeping on the floor of some guy's apartment. Things started out fine, and we split the apartment down the middle for privacy. A few weeks and she asks if her mom can come stay with us for a week or 2 because she's in an unsafe environment, and I'm like, sure, okay. Well, 3 months later, and the mom is still there, and they fight constantly, smoke weed constantly, and the girl has her boyfriend spending the night all the time too. At this point it's getting too much to handle, and I'm getting sick, and then I get the news that my boyfriend passed away. I have no reason to stay in that city, so I talk to the apartment manager and the mom about signing the lease over to her, give them my keys and move out. Cut to a month later. I just get out of the hospital after a week's stay. I haven't had my phone on me and had no access to the outside world. It was a psychiatric hospital as I had a breakdown because of my boyfriend's death. My mailbox on my phone was full and I had like 100 plus texts from the mom and girl. They accused me of breaking into the apartment and stealing their rent money while I was in the hospital. They claimed they had me on video in the lobby of the apartment and they hired a private detective who dusted for fingerprints and found my fingerprints all over the apartment and they scrubbed all trace of me away. I asked them how they could afford a private detective when they couldn't afford rent, and they had no answer. They were absolutely insane, and I still am friends with a girl on Instagram, and she is still crazy. He was rather reclusive and would only come out to use the facilities and feed. We never really saw him going to class, which might explain why he left after a semester. He'd cook simple meals, pasta and the like, but had the worst habit of leaving the burner on high when he retreated back to his cave. We had to have about 3 to 4 discussions of increasing intensity before it finally stopped. My boyfriend and I had decided to move out of his parents' extra bedroom and into our co-workers, we'll call him Roger, home. We got along well enough. It was a very short drive to get to work, and the home had enough space to not feel cramped. Over a year and a half we witnessed Roger drunkenly beating up the roommate that was leaving as we were moving in. Roger drunkenly eating all of our food out of the kitchen. He justified it by saying that we buy more snacky food that he couldn't have around, or he would eat it all, so he couldn't buy it, but had to eat us when drunk. Okay. Roger having his girlfriend move in also with her children. From that point on they would get drunk together every night and argue in common spaces in front of us/her kids, and didn't care if anyone heard. Roger and his girlfriend separately complaining to me about the other person, but once they made up you better not mention anything about them fighting, because then you are the bad guy. Roger and his girlfriend never locking the front door, sometimes not even closing it overnight. Oh, and the few nights he didn't eat our food. After coming home from the bar, he got an Uber driver to get him fast food, which I would find all over the house, like a trail of breadcrumbs tracking his movements throughout the night. But instead of breadcrumbs it's McDonald's wrappers and fries. We've moved out into our own place since. The door is always locked, and the snacks are all ours. Okay. So, I had just broken up with someone and needed a new place to live. A friend of mine from college was tired of living in Missouri, and she and her girlfriend, who I had never met, wanted to come out to live in Seattle. The three of us decided to share an apartment. Because I already lived in the area, I found a great apartment in a city south of Seattle and paid the deposit with the written agreement that they would pay me back 2/3 of the deposit and we would split utilities 3 ways. So we get the apartment and I move in a week before they do, as they were driving from Missouri. Along the way they inform me they are bringing cats. This was not in the arrangement, but I roll with it and tell them they have to pay the pet rent and pet deposit on their own. They move and both have jobs. Come first month's rent they only pay half of what they should. They smoke weed constantly and leave pizza boxes on the floor in summer, leading to an ant infestation. They never do dishes. 4 months go by without them paying a single thing toward rent or utilities. Eventually one quits or loses her job and the other got cut way back on hours to the point of almost unemployment, but wouldn't look for more work. When I would remind them that rent or utilities were due, always in writing, they would respond that I needed to stop pressuring them about money because it was making them suicidal. Around this time my grandfather died and left me $5,000. They reasoned that I could afford to support them. In actuality I could not. That money was supposed to be for a surgery I needed, and insurance did not cover at the time. All of that money was spent to keep us all from being homeless, including feeding them, because I'm a sucker apparently. It eventually got so bad that I told them they had 10 days to pay up or get out. Their response was that if I wanted the money I should sue them. I had absolutely everything in writing as to what they agreed to, all the missed payments for rent and utilities, etc. So I did. I filed a case in small claims court and had them served. A couple days later they moved out without paying and left most of their stuff there. The court date came and they no-showed. I had a stack of written correspondence almost 2 inches thick that I presented to the judge, and after he read through it, he was quite angry on my behalf. The judge ruled in my favor that they owed everything they agreed to pay and never did, plus 12% compounding interest until it was paid off. This was back in November 2014, and to this day neither has paid a dime. Pretty soon here I'm just going to sell the debt to a debt collector to at least recover some of that money, and the debt collector can try to get it from them. Oh yeah, and 60 days after they abandoned the lease on our apartment, the complex manager came to certify their abandonment. The day they left I closed their bedroom door and didn't go in until she came back to certify the abandonment, and she was like, do you know why there is poop in the closet? Hands down the worst roommates ever. That's it for today. I upload daily, so if you enjoy this kind of content you should consider subscribing. Also here's some more videos you should check out if you're not done procrastinating.